right, guys, welcome to the show. I thank you for being here. And as always, I'm your host, American Lumberjack. And today we have a good show for you, a packed show for you, and I hope you enjoy it. We're going to get started with a few changes that I took on earlier on, and you guys tell me what you think. This first video I'm going to play is a little abrasive, but let's check Hunter Biden freak out.
Opinions, but him, and everybody around him are not to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? He buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. You, what do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times on me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama, and that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod, and David Clough, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior speechwriters on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who have been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40, $50 million off the Democratic Party. They're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times, how to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run, and they're going to replace their judgment for his. Not to mention, who's Jake Tapper's audience? Jake Tapper?
My mom or something?
Well, I don't know. For real, though. I don't even think it's your mom anymore.
No.
By the numbers, what influence does Jake Tapper have over anything? He has the smallest audience on cable news, and beyond that, I think that the book is right now on Amazon that he put out. I mean, his ratings just went to shit after he put the book out. You know, they did a 2-week infomercial for it. I mean, it was such a money grab, such a disservice to everybody that he serves with.
All right, guys, hold on one second. Apparently, I have an echo. Let's see if this fixes it. I'm just checking. Let me know if that fixes it. Yeah, I see that there's bad echo. Let me know if that fixes it for you guys before we move on and get into the meat and the potatoes of the show, because I don't want to make it weird for you if it's doing things it shouldn't be doing. We're gonna have a good show today. We are now streaming on Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. We're streaming everywhere. We're all over the world. Let me know if that fixed it. Yeah. About time you saw me on. Are we good? Can you hear me? Is there an echo? Echo. I need you guys to talk to me real quick. If not, we're just going to continue on. All right, fantastic. It's good. So, looking into the way Hunter Biden has freaked out, it is incredible to see the cohesiveness the Biden family has, even in their corruption, and more families should aspire to have that cohesiveness. The man defends his father at all turns, even in corruption. Who's got more legislation passed? Well, if you're in office for 52 years, of course you're going to get more legislation passed. And it's funny to see how these guys turn on each other and eat each other. Now that Joe Biden's out of the way and people are able to talk bad about him, you see the dog eat dog world out there, and it's kind of interesting. But guys, you're going to see a lot more of Hunter Biden. He is not happy about how they're talking about his dad, and now that he's cleaned up his act, I honestly wouldn't put it past him if he ran for office, some form of office. I'm very interested in seeing how that goes. But I just thought that was a really odd moment to see this man crash out like this against his own kind. George Clooney voted for Biden. I believe he voted for Biden twice, or would have been twice, but It's just interesting to see the change between what was and what is now. So, with no further ado, let's get into actual meat and potatoes of the show. Did you know that China has pulled another brazen stunt? Yeah. They pulled another brazen stunt, placing an exit ban on U.S. Commerce Department employee who's stuck over there currently right now, effectively detaining him for months after he visited his family. Why you have family in China is beyond me, but that's your business, not mine. No charges, no court order, just Chinese Communist Party leverage. So what happened? The individual, which was a U.S. citizen or is a U.S. citizen, and a patent and trademark office staffer, traveled in a private capacity, meaning by himself with no business dealings, visiting relatives. When Chinese authorities snapped down, seized his passport, phone, and other belongings back in mid-April. When barred, and then they turned around and barred his departure. Documents were handed back a week later, but the exit ban stayed. Why? No transparent legal reason for China doing this. Personally, between you and I think it's because of those strong tariffs that Trump keeps putting in the works, and China's just trying to do anything and everything they can. But China labeled these as investigations into legal matters and criminal cases, but refuses to name the names. They're just playing geopolitical chess is what it is, detaining any non-military personnel they can from the United States to gain leverage in trade negotiations. That's really what it boils down to. And guess what? This is likely not the last time you're going to see this happen. So if you're planning on going to China anytime soon, don't. If you have family in China, friends in China, pay for them to come see you. At least if they get here and get in trouble, they get sent back. You get in trouble over there, you get to stay. That's how that works. Because they like to play political pawns with American citizens. So the Commerce Secretary Lutnick rightly calls this out and says that this is plainly outrageous. The State Department and the U.S. embassies are scrambling right now, essentially looking at high-level diplomatic contracts that are in play. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo just shut down travel to China after a similar move against their banker. So this is not the first time it's happened. They're drawing a line in the sand, and they don't like the way these trade negotiations are going, so they're doing any and everything they can to leverage. So what's really going on is that this is to coerce this is a coercive statecraft. It's an exit ban that allows, again, like I stated earlier, China to leverage and make negotiations that benefit them. Like, hey, why don't you remove that 100% tariff? Or, hey, why don't you remove that 10% tariff? Or, hey, how about you get these people back if you buy more of our stuff? This is all under Xi Jinping's regime. And they're visa phishing and targeting people that have dual nationals, that have dual nationalities. Basically creating a bottleneck to anyone that's outside this country going into this country. Why this really matters is if you're a U.S. citizen, journalist, business person, tech worker, or any other type of person that goes over there, you're not going to come back. You're not. They're going to be using you as a political pawn, and they mistreat anyone and everyone that goes over there. You're not treated nicely over there. These aren't the cushy prisons that they allow people like Ghislaine Maxwell to stay in over here. These are real prisons. So Wall Street might tolerate the tariffs and the supply chain demand. Some subsidized manufacturers even cheered on, but you don't trade away American lives as a bargaining chip. And that's what this is what's happening here. And if we don't respond decisively, it becomes the new normal that China uses American citizens, America bends the knee and gives up what they want, what China wants. So that's to me is absolutely preposterous. This isn't something this isn't just a sour relations issue. It's an authoritarian blackmail. plain and simple. They're using people to get what they want for their nation because China's suffering, and we all know it. In less crazy news, we have the Federal Reserve. Yes, the Federal Reserve is back in the news once again. This is called the Fed Reserve Fixer-Upper. If you guys have ever watched any of those home improvement channels on the Home Network, this is what seemingly happened with the Fed Reserve. So Representative Anna Paulina Luna, gosh, she's got such a pretty name, and she's even prettier as a woman. A staunch Trump ally has officially sent Powell to the Department of Justice, accusing him of perjury under oath regarding $2.5 billion in Fed renovations, saying he lied about the VIP lounges, rooftop gardens, marble finishes, and beehives. Okay, why are they doing all of this at the Federal Reserve? This is not Twitter where they need safe spaces and places to color and all this other beehives. Marble. What are we doing? What are we doing? She says his testimony doesn't hold water. This isn't a lefty media hype like normal. It's straight up legal action from the House Republicans, and as it should be. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's taxpayer money, not your money. Trying to make your office look better, buying a more expensive chair. He lied under oath, and that is the thing. We're not talking about politics. It's just tipping the Fed chair into a possible jail time, is what it is, and he needs to go. So the taxpayer is the one that should be really outraged. Grandmas are paying $6 for gas. She's not funding the Palace of Versailles. She's not. That's what marble floors. And that's what Tim Scott said. That this is not a palace. And Tim Scott, a lot of people don't like him, but I love him. He's on the right path of righteousness and doing what's good. And he's saying that why are we doing this? It's conditional, not definitive. A referral doesn't mean charges, unfortunately. We all know that the DOJ moves slow. Pam Bondi, woo. Powell's defense says that there's a oversight, that plans were set up proper, but they hadn't been enacted yet. That's what his defense is. I hope he goes to prison. I really do. I really do, because this is what Doge was created for, to find gross misuse of taxpayer funds and illegal spendings and giving away of monies and stuff like that. That's what this was for. And now we are at this point in time where they're still doing it. They're still doing it. So I would like to know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Should he be prosecuted? Was this just an oversight mistake? Or did he actually do what he did because he was trying to make his working conditions better? He needs to answer for this. And I don't care what anybody says. That's my personal opinion. He needs to answer for this. In other news, MLK assassination revelation. Yes. Everybody's been talking about the buzz of all these documents being released and files being released. We all know that you want the Epstein files. You need to go watch the special on that as to why you're not going to get that. But let's take a little bit of a dive into this right here. What went down on July 21st, 2025, Tulsi Gabbard dropped over 230,000 pages of previously classified documents about MLK's 1968 assassination. These include FBI memos, investigation leads, notes from James Earl Ray's former cellmate, and even Canadian police records. Boy, they even got the Maple Leafs involved. The documents locked away since 1977 were sitting in an archive undigitized until now, which is crazy because they've been digitizing over time everything so they can keep up with the times. And I think a lot of these things get overlooked so they could just pass the buck off as, oh, there's a fire, we missed it, it wasn't digitized, oh, But whatever. This is a win for transparency overall. The Executive Order 14176 pushed for a full declassification of JFK, RFK, and MLK's files. Yeah, full, not partial. And why this took this long is crazy. But this is the logical step. The government's accountability needs to be met. We're held accountable for all of our actions and responsible for all of our actions. So the government needs to as well. So the people want this stuff out in the open. They do. If there's more to the story, let it be debated on social media and everywhere else. But it needs to be out there for us to see, because why are we keeping secrets? This is not a matter of national security. It might up in like the blacks to find out their hero was a zero with the freak-offs and stuff like that, and why, he was taken out. But it needs to be out there. The truth needs to come out. It's time for our Uncle Sam to come clean, come out of the closet, so to speak. So enough. It's enough with the lockbox politics. Is what I'm getting at. If the FBI abused their power under Hoover, discrediting King and spying on Americans, let's see how it all unfolds when the people see this. It really is a reality check. So the family for Martin Luther King had mixed reactions. Alveda King, MLK's niece, praised the transparency, but Martin Luther King III and Bernice warned of potential misuse and urged sensitivity. Essentially, they're saying, hey, don't besmirch. That's the SAT word for you. Don't besmirch the name of King. Well, Miss Bernice and Mr. King III, the man was a freak. He was the original diddler, the original Robert Kelly. R. Kelly? My mind's telling me no. Yeah, that's him. Historians say no bombshell revelations. Experts note most key information was already public. Deeper insight may be limited to this, but it's nice to actually have no more question marks over our head. No more conspiracy theory. We know what happened. It simply put, some see government. Some see the government as a mafia, and that there's some truth to that. There really is some truth to that. So we should stop allowing privileges to people that are in power to have their secrets hidden. These secrets have been kept for nearly 60 years, and that's troubling. This is about restoring truth to the public and faith in our government. Transparency trumps secrecy, and Trump and Gabbard are taking the lead step on that. And again, I know you guys want these Epstein files, but these things don't exist like you think they do. And unless you want to see some videos of children being fiddle-diddled, which is weird, why you would want that is strange, then you should probably focus on what's happening here now and where are all the kids now. I didn't get to add that to... Yes, I did. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Hold your horses. We'll get to that in a second. That's going to be good. But in other news right here, we have Donald Trump, the war on tradition. It's Trump versus the woke machine. So Trump comes out and says that, hey, we need to go ahead and get an established thing back in place here and put the name, which were formerly the Redskins, of the Commanders back in place. And the Cleveland Indians should be back, not the Cleveland Guardians. I don't care how you feel about Native Americans or Indians or anything like that. It is what it is. We don't have to be politically correct. We don't. And he didn't mince words when he came in and said this. He says if the Commanders don't reverse their course and bring back the iconic name, he'll facilitate, there's that word again, Mr. Abrego Garcia, facilitate the creation of a new team. Woo! That man is flexing. I don't think he can actually do that. I don't think that's in his purview as the executive management. I don't think it's in his purview to do it all, but that is pretty bold words, to facilitate the creation of a new team with real American values. This isn't just a name change. It's a cultural erasure. which is it's when interviewed back in when these things were going on, they were going around interviewing. The left was Native Americans is what they call them now. Politically correctness. They said, hey, this is what you're not called. What does this make you upset? And they're like, no, we don't. We don't think it makes us upset at all. It doesn't bother us. Why are you doing this? It's stupid. This has been this way for years. We haven't had any issues with it, but we do take issues with what you're doing now, because even though the names might not have been right, the imagery was, and you're erasing the imagery. So they're erasing the heritage, one mascot at a time. They've done it with Aunt Jemima on the bottle of syrup. They've done it with Uncle Ben on the rice. They're just doing it left and right. The left claims that it's about respecting Native Americans, yet the Native Americans, like I stated, don't really care. The Native American Guardian Association says that they want the Redskins back because it honored warriors. That is the Native American Guardian Association. NAGA. For short, NAGA. Yeah, that's what they said. And this is a national association, the NAGAs. Yeah, the NAGAs. But woke white liberals think they know better than the tribal leaders. They push for cancel culture over consultation, virtue signaling over truth. Funny. And the corporate cowards and vultures, they cower behind this image, saying that the teams have caved and they want this. But it's not about what the teams want. Yeah, who cares? Nike, ESPN, and activist mobs hijack sports for their agenda. The result were brand confusion, fan disillusionment, and plummeting pride. We watched when your boy, what's his name? The mixed boy that took the knee, that now is trying to get back into the NFL. I can't remember his name, don't care. Yeah, that's when it started. That started the downhill, the virtue signaling, the Captain Save-A-Hose, if you will. America first means tradition first. Trump isn't just fighting for a team name. He's fighting for America's cultural backbone. Because for a long time, we haven't had any. They're tearing down statues. They're getting rid of names of military bases. They're changing names of football teams, baseball teams. For what? They're getting books and erasing characters and changing characters in books. For what? Feelings. Because the people that actually are living these experiences aren't the ones complaining. If you can't say Redskins, but can chant defund the police, there's something wrong with you. If you erase Indians and celebrate drag queens in classrooms, your priorities are broken. This isn't about progress, it's propaganda. Want to save America? Start by saving tradition. And Trump just fired the first shot. Bang, bang. And Tulsi Gabbard's out here firing shots too, y'all. I love me some Tulsi. She's a beautiful woman. I don't really like her position, but she's doing something good, and as long as she keeps moving in that direction, I can't say nothing bad about her. But this girl is on... Look, I'm going to go and say this right now. I'm going to get this out early. Tulsi Gabbard is not suicidal. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to repeat it. Tulsi Gabbard is not suicidal. One more time. Tulsi Gabbard loves her life and is not suicidal. Here we go again. Another bombshell. According to a newly released document, sets of documents that is, the Obama administration didn't just mishandle the Russia narrative in 2016, they manufactured it. We all knew this. Now it's just coming to light. That's right. The interference story was crafted, not uncovered. And who did it hurt the most? Not Russia. Not Russia. Not the Democrats, but the American people. It hurt the American people, and it hurt the process of the republic. We are not a democracy. We have a democratic process, but we are a republic. Republic. It hurt the people and the republic. If a sitting administration uses the intelligence community to plant the seed of false narratives and doubt, one that accuses their political opposition. And what's crazy is Trump wasn't even your opposition. He wasn't even your opposition, bro. You were done. You were trying to pave the way for this. I can't say those words. For this lovely lady named Hillary Clinton. Do you realize what she would have done to this country if she'd gotten in office? She would have obliterated the United States. She went after Christians. She went after anyone that didn't agree. But you're accusing people of colluding with foreign adversaries. That's not protecting the republic. That's hijacking it. They didn't act like, they were in a position of trust and power. They acted like they were the intelligence gang, and they used it to their benefits. These documents now show the Obama White House pushed an intel assessment with unvetted and unverified claims. And they used that as the basis to launch FBI's now infamous Crossfire Hurricane investigation. That's what they did. They used dirty political tactics to dress it up as a national security thing. Why is it that everything's national security? Can we talk about that? Why is everything national security? Why is everything national security? Why is everything, one more time, everything national security? Oh, you can't use TikTok, national security. Facebook colluding with China, not national security. Trump might be in the Steele dossier, Russia collusion, national security. But we don't care about the Chinese operatives in our military selling secrets back to China. Every week they're almost in the news. We don't care about that. Nah, out here making crap up. The real collusion was between the government insiders and legacy media. That's what getting rid of the Smith-Muntz Act of 1948 did. You should look that up. Smith-Muntz, M-U-N-D-T-S Act, which is an anti-propaganda act that Barack Obama removed in 2012. And, not so much removed, he just didn't reinstate it. And then you have the Patriot Act. Oh, we love that. Thanks, Joe Biden, for getting that, written and put into legislation under George W. Bush. Those two instrumentalities absolutely gave leeway for them to spy on us without any recourse and to lie to us. We were told that Trump was a Russian agent. Now it turns out the real interference came from within our own government, like a Trojan horse. That's a betrayal of plain, simple common sense. And they want us just to sweep it under the rug, move it on. As my favorite all-time podcaster, Dan Bongino, says, www.moveon.com. But that only happens after they lie, pivot, lie, and then they move on. If an average American lied to the government, they would be locked up indefinitely. Look what they did to the J6ers. But when the government lies to us, they get book deals, Netflix specials, and security clearances. Oh, there's a double standard in our court and a double standard in truth. This is a wake-up call. The same political class that screamed about protecting democracy, we're a republic, spent years undermining the republic from the inside. And if they didn't do it once, and if they did do it once, rather, you better believe they're planning to do it again. This isn't about Trump or MAGA. It's about whether America belongs to the people or to the elites who think they can lie to us, cheat us, steal from us, cover up things from us, and then smile in our face. Vote for me. like they always tell you, never forget 9/11. I won't forget. I remember exactly where I was. We should never forget this Steele dossier crap, Russia collusion crap. Just food for thought. But we're going to keep it moving, keep it freaky, and keep it smooth. And we mentioned January 6th earlier, but now we have Maxwell and January 6th, J6, walk into a bar. The Barrister Association. Maxwell speaks and the system shudders. Ghislaine Maxwell says she's not suicidal. Just like Tulsi Gabbard. Hey, Ghislaine Maxwell said she's not suicidal and has rebranded herself as a teacher, giving legal advice. Oh, speaking that law. And now classes on law, legal advice and classes on law. It's amazing when people go to prison, they all somehow, if they have half a mind, become lawyers or so good at law that they can beat the system from the inside out. She's breaking silence. From behind bars, Ghislaine Maxwell is talking and it's making a deep cut into the deep state. And now they're sweating. They popped that Ghislaine Maxwell Molly and now they sweating. Woo! Her former cellmate just revealed Maxwell was not suicidal in the least, directly contradicting the establishment narrative that they were in fear that she was going to take her life like Epstein did, that she would meet the same mysterious fate. Why is that important? Because it's a signal to one thing. She knows she's valuable, and she's not done yet. I mean, clear to see that they've already subpoenaed her to come speak. They're not done yet. But it gets a little bit muddier. Maxwell has been swapping notes with a cellmate of hers, the Jan Sixer, the protester behind bars. Yeah, Jessica Watkins. Now, this is a little bit of a twist here, guys. 42-year-old transgender and former oath keeper. I guess he said, look, hey, if I'm going to jail and this trans thing is working, I'm going to get into women's prison. Freaky deaky. I bet Maxwell was with that, getting all that free meat. Not only does she now not only does she now see what is happening firsthand and how it crushes the political dissenters, she compared treatment of J6 inmates to being used as a political example, calling it worse than anything she's witnessed. That was Maxwell saying. Even Ghislaine, Epstein's handler, thinks this is an overreach and that J6 was something that shouldn't have happened. And I don't take them as like right-leaning people. So if they're saying that, then you know it's something real. The media once painted Ghislaine Maxwell as a monster. Now they've gone dead silent. Crickets. Because if she talks too much, big names could fall. I hope you do talk. Run that mouth. Run that pretty little mouth. Do it. It's about who she could expose. Politicians, billionaires, power players, other world leaders. A bunch of them flew to Lolita Island on the Lolita Express. We know it. She's literally the establishment's worst nightmare, but I don't think it's going to play out like we think it is. But I hope she slips up. I really do. It's a very interesting thing to think about, isn't it? Very interesting indeed. And I don't think before it's all said and done, we're going to have Epstein fatigue, Maxwell fatigue, Little St. James Island fatigue, Lolita Express fatigue. We're going to have all the fatigues that you can think of when it comes to this. But the people want answers, but I think if you guys go watch my special, you'll get more answers out of that than you'll probably get in the next 40 years because you know our government's good at covering things up. 60 plus years on the JFK, RFK, and MLK files. There's a lot of Ks. Isn't that KKK? It is. It is. Oh, man, I'm silly. So, like I said earlier, we're going to get to this one particular video. Check this out. This plays into the whole Epstein thing and You know, if you've seen the Hunter Biden laptop, you know some things up there with some minors. But check this out.
This is completely atrocious in a day and age where we're starting to wake up to the realities of sex trafficking and what's going on with these kids. They let all these kids in. We still don't know where over 300,000 of these kids are. And you're sitting here testifying, saying that they gave a hotline for these kids to report if they were okay, if they needed anything, and 65,000 calls went unanswered. Do you know how many staffers the administration assigned to answering these phones and helping these kids?
One.
One staffer? Any idea how many hours a day this staffer was working?
No.
Maybe that's why there were 65,000 calls that weren't answered from these little kids, huh? Unbelievable. Thank you. I yield back. This is completely atrocious in a day and age.
Yeah. You heard what he said. 65,000 children, or calls, rather, because it could have been the same call from the same kid 65,000 times if you believe that. Got some beachfront property in Walmart parking lot for you. But one person answering 65,000 calls? So I've talked about multiple times on other platforms about this Lutheran services that delve into, you know, putting kids in homes with family, like potential new families and stuff like that. Basically like a adoption agency and a foster agency, but minus the middle ground. And they were putting these kids in places and doing these things with these kids. And these kids were missing out of the Lutheran services. I talked about that about 3-4 weeks ago. And you mean to tell me 65,000 calls came in and not a single one was answered? For what? For fake? Like, is this like some front? Are you covering things up, trying to make it look good? What are we doing? What are we doing? But save the kids, right? We love the kids, right? Care for the kids, right? Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. I would love to. I think I'm going to put a poll up on YouTube and have you guys answer what you think about that particular segment or video, because that kind of sort of breaks my heart. Could you imagine being given a number because you're here alone, you don't know where your parents are, they either took your parents, shipped them back, whatever. Could you imagine being alone and put with some strangers and said, if you've got any problems, call this number, and you call over and over and over and nobody picks up and heinous things are happening to you? Man. Wait a minute. I think I skipped one. Hold on. My apologies. This one right here. Golden Dome X. First off, don't pretend this is all just business. Because I can hear the left now. They're business partners. They're doing this. No. This is politics. After that dramatic feud back in June 5th, I believe, Trump made it pretty clear, no more cozy deals with Musk. Common sense move, maybe. Power play, maybe. Big talk, maybe. We don't know yet until we see what we see. You can't have a defense system tied to the whims of a billionaire on Twitter or X. Stupid name, Elon Musk. Twitter sounds better. Not just because we said it for years. It just literally sounds better. And when I type in x.com, I don't know what's going to pop up. Scary thought. It's a strategic pivot to alternatives is what needs to take place. Now, here's where it gets smart. They bought new players to the table. Jeff Bezos with Project Kuiper, Lockheed Martin, Northrop, L3 Harris, and even Rocket Labs and Stoke Space are stepping up now. And why? Because the national security can't hinge on one guy's space drama. It needs reliability and competition. And we competition breeds greatness. The simple fact that you're going to have this Golden Dome built, and initially it was just going to be Elon Musk doing it all, is crazy. It's crazy. Especially with a man that's not... Look, he might have gotten his citizenship or whatever, but after listening to him wanting to create his own political party and saying that it was going to perpetuate having immigrants, legal or otherwise, I think he said legal, come over here. Yeah, I'm not with that. I'm not with that. So I don't care if him. Y'all know how I feel about the man. Particularly, I don't care for him. So I don't care if he has a citizenship or not. His allegiances aren't American. His allegiances are his pocket. $175 billion price tag. Don't screw it up. This isn't about pocket change. $175 billion by Trump's reckoning is a lot of money. Congress has already kicked in $25 billion. Do we really want to swipe a happy solo vendors to just give it to Elon, just like let him go swipe happy? This man's he's already got contracts with NASA. He's got contracts with the FCC. He's got contracts with several government agencies. So why are we going to give him this one? We got to diversify. By diversifying, we allow multiple competitive fingers to slip in and make moves and changes and stuff like that. And really, if you're going to do it, make it a conglomerate of a bunch of companies. So therefore, the money is spread thin. The security and the cyber pain would be less if you did that. And this is a good way to hammer down on Musk and really put him in his place. I mean, I'm all for the defense budget being what it is. I'm all for them spending that money to make our borders safer, because that is what our government's supposed to do. That's written in your Constitution. But I'm not okay with them putting all that good stuff in Musk's hands. We tip the scales by diversifying. We do. Sure. But the Russians and the Chinese aren't sleeping. That's what we need to realize. They're not sleeping. They're going to be making moves. China's already griping and moaning about us having the Iron Dome anyway, saying that we're going to take over space, whatever that means. I think China is like smoke too much peyote or opium or whatever it is they do over here, because they've been saying some weird stuff lately. But to wrap this particular segment up, trust but verify. Don't rely on one guy, especially one with an attitude. Spread the risk. Multiple vendors equals smooth program, better pricing. Always lock down satellites, because we know Elon Musk has his own satellite system, so apparently he could hack in or tap in if he's got the clearance to see that stuff. So always lock down the satellites. Defense requires ironclad security. Yes, this shakes up the diplomatic tree, but strong defense is a smart defense. Speaking of defense and security and all that other stuff, we go back to, y'all see it. Yeah, he's back in the mood. He's back in the news. The signal that keeps giving. It's more Pentagon drama, hotter than the July asphalt. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth allegedly texted classified war plans over signal. We know that. We heard about it. The Democrats screamed it from they climbed every mountain and screamed it from the mountaintops. So let's unpack the mess a little bit. The Pentagon watchdog confirmed, I think its name is Steven, confirmed the signal messages came from a classified email marked secret. No foreign. Not some harmless chit-chat, as they once claimed, right before the bombs were dropped in Yemen. That's a contradiction of what Hegseth repeated. And his claims were no classified info was shared. Come on. Common sense says that's a hard sell, Mr. Hegseth. It's a rookie mistake and possibly a systematic failure. And now, I'm not saying he's not qualified. I'm just saying that he doesn't know how to play politics and that he might be in and over his head a little bit. Hexef's team set up a signal on an unsecured line, is what they're saying. We all know the story. And then a journalist got added to it, and secrets were given out, and then that journalist turned around and shared them, all for a story. One, Hexef probably should have been fired, but I'm not the boss. But that journalist should be put away for treason. You're an idiot. You literally are an idiot. You put yourself in one of the most dangerous situations ever. If I get put into a secret chat from the federal government, I'm a kindly exit stage left. I'm gone. I'm out. Why? Because I don't belong there. Why? I don't want to see something that I'm not supposed to see. Why? Because I don't want to go to prison for the rest of my life. Because I'm not some high-profile person with a lot of money, deep pockets, as we call it. That's not me. I don't have money for hours and days and years and months to be able to pay lawyers to keep me out of prison. So I'm going to just, I'm going to be like that Homer Simpson meme where he just backs into the bush and disappears. Because as soon as I get put in there, I'm going to be like that little kid. I'm in danger. Because I am. So that journalist should have thought the same thing. Accountability, but for who? Basically, Mike Waltz was ousted. Hexef's chief of staff resigned. Aside were and other people were fired or retired early because of this. And yet Hexef's still sitting there in the big boy chair. Meanwhile, whistleblowers inside the Pentagon are calling him unfit. Again, I'm not the boss. Would I have fired him? Yeah. Ain't no probably about it. Yeah, he would have been gone. It's not politics. That's protecting your own. Not how you run the Pentagon. It's not. He's got his own people calling him out. And Pete is going to stay there. He needs to tighten up. That thing needs to be so tight, not even air can escape it. In an era where cyber security and espionage threats are real, and everybody always likes to say it's from China and Russia, I think our own people do it most, as you heard with the Obama dossier segment. This isn't a tweet storm. It's a potential catastrophe. You're risking troop lives and the national security and the element of surprise by using unsecured apps. Though, I will say, in Signal's defense, not Hexef's, Signal is extraordinarily secure. There ain't much out there more secure than that you could have on your phone, unless you are, in the game. There ain't much more secure than that. It's not. And the only way things get leaked is if someone has a loose mouth. Someone that can't hold their mouth right. What everybody should be demanding is that, one guy is not an excuse. Hexef can't dodge responsibility by blaming aides. Leadership means owning up to your screw-ups. And had he come out and said, hey, I messed up. This was my mistake. Won't happen again. I'm going to tighten up. I would have respected him more. I would have. I think they need to finish this and find out who everybody was told and all this stuff and just wrangle them all up. Hexef needs to be fired. Signalgate needs to be put to bed permanently. Stop keeping these trash people in office and in positions of power, because this is how we get Watergate. This is how presidents get assassinated, because of these behaviors. President Trump announced that the U.S. will withdraw from the UNESCO for the second time. Yeah. There you go. This is his second time doing it. And I am so sick and tired of us diving in and being a part of things that are not a part of us. And the effective date will be December 31st, 2026, echoing what he did when he exited in 2017. And then 2023, Biden administration put us right back in it. Why does this matter, though? It's about ideology. The White House slammed the UNESCO as pushing woke, divisive culture and social causes. Socialism does not work. Socialism is a pipe dream for communism, for control, for one world order, everybody bending the knee to one person. It doesn't work. He accused that it's promoting a globalist ideology and agenda, and it is. I don't need Trump to say that. I don't need to agree with Trump on that, to believe that. I know it. Palestine membership is a flashpoint. The U.S. law bars funding to the UN body that admits Palestine. The UNESCO full membership for Palestine triggered the funding issues and the U.S. Recognition that it views don't align with each other. So you're pushing this woke, broke ideology and funding essentially countries is what they call Palestine, even though it's not officially recognized by the United States as a country, that have a terroristic government that uses its own people as punching bags and shields, and we're funding that. We fund the United States. It's still the largest contributor to the UN. Although the U.S. currently covers about 8% of the UNESCO budget, 8% is a lot, considering there's a lot of countries in there. Roughly, it's down from 20% in the 80s. Yeah, we were paying 20%. That's a lot of dang money. And the United States departure this time around will disrupt a lot of their programs. So giving you some history behind this, in 1945, the U.S. founding members of the UNESCO was a founding member. Yes, the United States technically created this. In 1984, Reagan led the withdrawal over politicization and budget concerns. In 2003, we rejoined under George Bush. I keep telling y'all, George Bush is a Democrat. He is never, the only Republican thing he did is stand up on that stage on 9/11, and then we found out the truth. So he's a Democrat through and through. Democrats are warmongers. Bush was a warmonger. So was Cheney. And then 2017 to 2018, first Trump-era exit over alleged anti-Israel bias. I don't care about the Israel bias. I just don't want to be a part of it. In 2023, like I said earlier, Joe Biden put us back in. And now we're out again. Bravo. Bravo. National sovereignty is what we should be pushing for. If an eternal body can repeatedly promote values that are counterintuitive and counter to the United States, like globalist agendas or pro-Palestine positions, aka pro-Hamas positions, pulling out is the right thing to do. Stop funding the bias. Why are we bankrolling an organization that sidelines Israel and pushes social doctrines? And not just Israel, they sideline us, even with our own money. I don't really care, again, about Israel. I don't. America first. That's what I'm about. Let the allies pick up the slack. The UN will find the money. They'll find the funding. China, a big country. A real big country. Europe is a big landmass of countries. The U.S. loss is something that will be manageable. We're no longer a piggy bank. This aligns with Trump's border strategy. The World Health Organization and the United Nations, Human Rights Council, Paris Climate Accords and agreements and stuff like that, the UN, RWA, were all dropped in the name of reclaiming sovereignty. Good riddance. This decision is not about isolationism. This is not a push for nationalism, even though nationalism isn't bad, because Trump's not pulling out of everything. Nationalism is a good thing. Name one nationalistic country that doesn't, well, name one country that's not nationalistic outside of America. We help everybody and their mama. It's time to start helping us. That's what I believe. It's time to start helping us. And continuing on the trend, Trump's on a win-win situation. I know it says or trade war, but he's using trade war tactics to make sure that we win. What's the deal? President Trump announced on July 22nd a bilateral trade agreement with the Philippines. U.S. exports enter trade-free, while Philippine goods into the U.S. face a 19% tariff, which is down from the tariff that had on it previously. This updates the April's previous 17% reciprocal tariff, and it's slightly below the 20% rate initially threatened, mirroring Indonesia's tariff deal. So again, is it a win-win or is it a trade war? I think it's a win-win. Trump called it a beautiful visit. You know, anytime something goes in Trump's way, my man's like, oh, it's a beautiful thing. This is the best call ever. This is the best deal ever. Every time he does it. He was praising Philippines President Marcos Jr. as a tough negotiator, with new military cooperation also on the table. So if you guys haven't been coming around the show a lot, what you will have missed is that China has taken over a couple of islands in the South China Sea, pushing more towards the Philippines. And the Philippines are really under the jurisdiction of the United States of America. So where the Philippines would do military or Navy exercises with the United States, they can no longer do those there because of the moves of China. So I think what Trump is using this trade deal as is really just a setup for more military prowess and placement to be able to put a stop on China's incursion into U.S. territories. But the deal helped shrink the U.S. trade deficit. Nearly $5 billion last year the trade deficit was nearly $5 billion last year on 23.5 billion on a total trade. And this nudges Manila to open markets, especially auto, soy, wheat, and medicines. So you're going to see a drop. And it's beautiful because if you guys have been paying attention, while they are all short-term changes, Trump has really dug into the deficit on a short scale. And he's been doing so rapidly. And this was like the first time in June, it was the first time in 20 years they had seen such a big chunk taken out on a short term. So leveraging tariffs to win access and ensure equity, common sense negotiation, and military prowess is a good thing, especially if it puts China back in their place. We're already behind the 8 ball when it comes to China and their military when it comes to ocean control. They have ungodly amounts of ships. We don't. So overall, this is a good thing. A lot of people will look at this and say, "Oh, this is a terrible thing. Oh, Trump's doing this. Trump's doing that." Ah! Trump's trying to set us up for future sovereignty, for future security. And so many people are out there against it. It's weird. It's really, really weird. But the bottom line is that the U.S.-Philippines deal is a targeted outcome and a driven win. And you can call it what you want. Today, our Bible verse comes from Isaiah 5:20, and it says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, but put darkness for light and light for darkness, and put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to them, because you got things coming." And there's a lot of people calling evil things good and a lot of people calling good things evil. Trump is doing good things and has been demonized for it. People out here wanting to chop off their kids' winkies and sew up their clam purses is evil, but they've been spoken good of. It's time to rectify that. Let's get things on the right track. Guys, as always, thank you for joining me. And make sure you're not one who is missing the forest for the trees. You guys have a good one.